So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the knowledge problem, which is introduced by Hayek. Basically, he introduces this, I guess, this theory where the division of knowledge, uh, there's a division of knowledge, which can also, I guess, be referred to as tacit knowledge. For example, in a business or maybe within a business, there's workers that may know the best way of creating the product itself or doing the marketing or the finance, right? Something maybe the CEO can do, right? But it comes coherently together to produce a certain outcome, a certain product, a certain project, right? And outside observers, right, like consumers, for example, they find it sometimes very like difficult to get that information or to reproduce that information since it's knowledge that is coming within several parts of the company, right? So information is dispersed in bits of incomplete and sometimes it's frequently contradictory knowledge, which is possessed between many individuals. Hayek uses the example of the tin market to illustrate how sometimes prices communicate relevant information. Um, if there's a disruption in, for let's say the tin market, which uses the tin market, I believe individuals don't need to know about the specific disruptions. Let's say something happens within the mine where they're getting the tin, or in the process of making the tin, a machine breaks or something happens, right? The consumers don't need to know about that. Just that the prices, they'll see it within the prices. The prices will reflect that damage that was done, right? Um, and as the prices increases, individuals then looking for other substitutes, something that may be cheaper or an alternative for tin, right? So in this sense, no one plans prices or no one plans markets. It's it's the result of like spontaneous order, right? Because it's not planned whatsoever. So entrepreneurs seek profits and consumers seek to maximize the utility of their products or whatever it is that they're getting, right? And uh, Hayek stresses that like no one needs to plan prices or markets in a way that will respond. Sorry, um, they Hayek stresses that no one needs to plan prices or markets in such a way that they will respond in results of having like little bits of supplies and demands here and there, right? So it's not planned. The market is, and like I said earlier, in results to spontaneous order. And with that being said, um, with the introduction of maybe AI and how we should have a planned economy to maximize the profits, it's a bit contradictory itself, that argument. But why do you think anybody would maybe want a planned economy? It's the same thing as like asking, do you want to have like a planned marriage, or do you want to have a planned death moment, or do you want every day and every interaction of your life to be planned? Uh, do you want like a third party to optimize like the kind of music you should listen to and when you should listen to it? Like, what do you think about that? You think people say that we should plan the market, our economy, to maximize the profits and pretty much achieve some type um, of goal that we've always been so longing for. What do you think?
So like sort of like a utopia type of thing, I guess.
In a sense, yeah. Hmm.
So you mean by planned economy sort of like essentially just everything, yeah, like you said, everything being according to plan. So like our
But
GDP.
being controlled by maybe in the future by an AI. Like, okay, this is how
Oh,
this price is gonna be this price, and it's gonna stay that price. Everything's gonna be planned. It's not gonna be in result to spontaneous order, like how I said. Like if a
yeah, yeah,
machine breaks, the prices will reflect upon that change or that damage.
yeah. I think it's, I mean, looking at our society right now, we're so big on that, concept of free will, right? We each like to make our own personal decisions, and we like to see where our decisions lead us, and we don't like to think that we don't have that, right? There's a whole philosophical debate over that. Um, and in terms of like a planned economy, I feel like that's so. The question was if I agree with it or if like I want that to happen, right?
Or just basically like what you think of it. Do you agree?
Uh-huh.
Do you disagree? Are
I
you
think it's
neutral about it?
interesting concept, right? Like it'll I guess you can frame it as it'll benefit us in different types of ways, right? No longer will gas change every single day, because gas prices fluctuate according to, spontaneous demand, like you mentioned. And you'll have consistency, which is something that we do look for, right? The majority of the time, whether it be in relationships or even in the economy, right? That's something that we strive for, consistency. And that planned economy would bring that, right, to a certain extent. But it's dicey. Like, it's just something that you can't really wrap your head around because it hasn't really come into fruition yet. And I guess for me to have like a solid opinion, like, what, this could work, would be maybe like seeing it in action. um, I'm not sure if there's anything
Like,
that's hard to put into
how does
action.
like the idea of sound of it? Like,
Yeah, like I said,
it's pretty much like having a planned life, basically, because
yeah.
like
uh,
the market, that's where like we buy our like daily products or any luxurious products that we want or just our daily needs, right? Having it planned in order to maximize the uh, the achievement we could get from it, right? Or the profits the economy can achieve. Like, how, like, is that something that's ideal, that, or something that we should look after or seek after?
I personally don't find it too appealing. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the free market. uh, and I think the
I
way it
think
is,
maybe also it could also be seen as monopolized in a sense, right?
yeah,
Where
I'm sort of getting communism tints into it a little bit. Maybe
mm,
I'm reading too much into it, but that's what I'm sort of getting out of it a little bit. But I think overall, like, I don't find it appealing, at least personally. I can see how people find it appealing, but I just personally don't. I don't think that, how many complaints do we hear of, like, different cultures who have planned marriages? We've seen that throughout history, that people don't like for things to be planned out for them. That goes back to the concept I mentioned, sort of like that philosophical debate of free will. We don't like for things to be planned out for us. Like, we just don't. Our human nature is against that. And if you plan our economy for that, like that's a big thing. A lot of the economy is such an important issue in everybody's daily life, that if you plan that out,
mhm.
uh, it'll be sort of, it'll meet resistance. And not only that, but what happens to ambitious people? What if ambitious people want something more than that, and that planned economy simply just can't give in to those sort of ambitious projects. And we've seen that ambition has created the best companies in the world, right? And if you
And
sort of
also talking about like the best companies in the world, like it's not only one person that makes it best, right? It wasn't just one technology. It's like,
yeah,
or one person's input. Like it was the ideas of many people together that created that product, right? It was like
yeah,
a
yeah, like,
project that was within. So
Elon Musk doesn't build the rockets, right?
exactly. So like, so imagine like we had this like ultra powerful like AI, right? That has access to like the best computing power and information that humans can like possibly put together, right? Because like I said, it's to create a company, it's several heads that come into the idea, right? Like bits of knowledge from everybody that puts or creates a perfect idea.
Yeah.
And I don't know if technology will soon be able to replicate that type of uh method or process, but let's say it does, right? What do you think that means like for the future markets? Like, do you think the markets today will suffer or get worse, or do you think that we would succeed?
I think it's hard for a machine to ever replicate, you know, human consciousness and like stream of thought and stuff like that. I think part of, like what you mentioned, part of what made these companies so great is that, you combined all these different minds, right? All these different ideas, these different backgrounds into one and make this big thing. And a computer necessarily can't do that, right? For the most part, you program a computer a certain way where they all sort of think the same, right? You have two computers, one of them, they're going to be the same, right? And they might not offer different inputs. So I mean, if we just assume that they did, right? Like, let's just assume they did. Uh, I guess it could be better, right? Because we've seen time and time again that computers are consistently better than humans in terms of you know logical thought and reasoning and deciphering and things like that. So they could potentially produce something that, with when run through various simulations or etc. through the computers, uh, turns out to be beneficial for us, right? I could see that. And it's definitely a possibility. I just think there's sort of a bunch of nuance to it, and there's not enough information out there put into computers that will sort of replicate human emotion, right? Um, but if they did do it, it would probably be for the better, just because we know that computers are way better than humans will ever be, essentially.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you made several valid points, right? It's we don't know what would happen in the future, and then if it actually is a good thing or a not a good thing or bad thing. Um, I guess, like you said, maybe we need to dip our feet in the water and see how exactly a scenario like that would actually work out, and if it would be for the better of us or the better for society or not, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like I said in the beginning, we're used to spontaneous order. We're so innate to that idea or attached to that idea that maybe it won't work out, right? But I guess we'll just have to wait and see in the future. Right.